In this video, we're going to learn how to retrieve data from a database. So first of all, we're going to need to connect to our database. So we're going to be using the same code we used earlier to connect to a database. So you can just copy it from the previous file. Okay. And then we are going to write some PHP code to retrieve data from a table. Okay. So let's have a look at our table in the phpMyAdmin. So in order to get all the rows of the table just like this, we have run this query. And if you read the query, it says select star from users where 1. Okay, and that's the equivalent of select star from users. Okay, because 1 is true. Okay, and then we're using a keyword limit starting with 0 and then 30. So 0 is the row where we're going to start, and 30 is the number of rows that we would like to show. So this means that we're going to show 30 rows starting from record 0. Okay? Okay, so now we are going to create a query that we're going to store in a variable SQL. So this query is just going to select all the rows of our table. So we're going to write select star from users. Okay, you can write where 1, but that's the equivalent of this anyway. So now we are going to execute our query. Okay, and the results of the execution function are going to be stored in a variable that we're going to call results. Okay, so inside results, we're going to store the outputs of the function MySQLi query. And if you remember, this function will take a couple of parameters. So the first one is the connection variable, and the second parameter is the query. Okay. So to check if this is successful, we are going to place this inside the if condition. Okay. And we're going to write if result equals this. Then we're going to execute some code. Okay. And to start, we are just going to print this results variable using the print underscore function. Okay. And if we save and try that, we get here an object, which means that this has been this was successful, and we have stored the results of this function inside the results variable, and the result, we know that if it's successful, it's an object. Okay. All right. So now, how do we get the table rows? Okay, so first of all, we are going to check the number of rows corresponding to our results. And to do that, we're going to use the function MySQLi underscore number underscore rows. Okay. And it's going to take as a parameter the results variable. Okay. So let's just echo this for now. And we can see that we've got 5 rows, and that's exactly the number of rows in our table. Okay. So what we're going to do, we are going to check if the number of rows is greater than 0. Okay. Then we are going to execute some other code. All right. Now we are going to cycle through all the rows of our results, okay, using another function that we call MySQLi fetch array. So this function is going to take as a parameter our result set. So in our case, it's going to be our result variable, okay? And every time we call this function, it is going to fetch the next row, okay? And then it's going to return an array of strings corresponding to that row. So if we call it the first time, it's going to go to row number 1, fetch it, and then it's going to return an array corresponding to that row. And the array could be associative, numeric, or both. And then when we call it the second time, it's going to go to the second row, return an array, and so on until we have no more rows in the result set. And in that case, it is going to return null. Okay, so let's try to call this function several times. So in our case, we've got a table of 5 rows, and our result set should have 5 rows in it. So let's call our function 6 times. So the 5 first times, we're expecting the function to return an array of strings, but the sixth time, we are expecting the function to return null. Okay, so let's call the function 6 times. So let's give it the results variable as an argument. Okay, and let's print the result using the print underscore r function. Okay, just before that, let's echo a paragraph saying call number 1. Okay, and let's copy this several times. So that's going to be call number 2, 3, 4, 6, and 5 and 6. Okay, so if we save and refresh, okay, so you can see that call number 1 gave us an array. Okay, so just one thing before we look at the as which row we are looking at, you can see here that for the same value we have 2 elements. Okay, and then we have the same thing, same value twice. So the first one corresponds to the a numeric key, and then the second one corresponds to an associative key. Okay, so we are having here a combination of associative and numeric array. But if we want to have only associative array, then we can add another parameter to our MySQLi fetch array function. Okay, and that parameter is going to be MySQLi underscore associative. Okay, all in capital letters, just like this. So if we save that and refresh our page, then we are getting associative arrays. Okay, if we want numeric arrays, then we just replace that by numeric, and this is what we get. Okay, so for now, let's stick to associative arrays, and let's do that for all the arrays. Okay, so we're getting only associative arrays. So if we look at the first results, it corresponds to the first record on our table, or the first row of our result set. Okay, and we can check that. We've got Peter Tyler. Okay, and the second one, we've got also Peter Tyler. And then the third one, we've got Mark Zuckerberg, and so on. So once we arrive to call number 6, so we don't see anything on our screen. Okay, and that's because this value here is null, and we can check that by getting the type of this value or this variable or whatever the function is returning here by saying get type. Okay, and we're going to place that in the arguments. Okay, so now if we save and refresh, we can see that the last output of the function MySQLi fetch array is null. Okay. All right. So we're gonna use this to cycle through our result sets. Okay, and print all the rows. Okay, inside our result sets. So rather than printing this many times, okay, we're going to use a while loop, and the condition of our while loop is going to be the output of this function. Okay, so let's just copy this for now, and let's just delete all this, and then we're going to have a while loop. So the condition is going to be this, okay, the output of our fetch array function.